Hey everybody, welcome back to Earth and Star Spiritual Wellness Center. I have Kai with me again today.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about a few different things. Something that came up last time that Kai was on the channel, religious wounds started coming up, but we're also going to bring this into a little bit of what they do with breath work, the nervous system, rest, relaxation, and maybe even some Isis energy. We've had some Isis energy come in earlier, and I've heard you talk about Isis a little bit during our healing temples, I think.
Yeah, it's whoever moderates. I can't remember her name right now.
Viviani.
Yeah, Viviani. Yeah, she's got Isis in her field like always. And so I'm always like, oh, hey, what's up?
And Isis isn't something that I sit with a lot. I have
Mhm.
other archetypes that are similar, but I love the queen of that one. So we'll come back to that one. How are you doing? What do you have going on right now? What you want to talk about first? Take us by the horns.
I am this is kind of like the calm before the storm for me. I've been doing a lot of grid work, a lot of like embodiment healing, like actually doing the healing that I will help other people work through. And I'm currently in Washington State. I don't live here. And I'll be headed back to Arizona this week. And I'm just excited because I feel like a lot of what I worked through was ancestral. I worked through things that have come down through my lineage, through my parents to me that I never asked for, like doubt and judgment, which definitely applies to today, as well as worry, and just overall fear. So, and kind of moving through those so that I can best move forward in my business and in my practice with self and just in life.
So embodying healing work is super important though, because I don't really believe that a person can be a good healer until they've done their healing work and
Right.
really embodied and practiced on themselves the things that they're doing on other people. Same thing for teaching. You can have knowledge, but until you fully understand it and teach it to somebody else in a way that they can apply it and understand it, it's
Yeah.
the application of that deepens that. So does this mean that you're going to be adding ancestral work to what you offer your clients?
I think it's kind of already included in my, like, because a lot of what I do with one-on-one clients is going to be like, sometimes we have to go back to go forward. So whether that's a blockage or an ancestral wound or a what may have you. But so I mean, I've already incorporated it. I would say that if anything, this is just deepening what that looks like and maybe even bring some more organization to it, because how I've got them kind of in my head is like visually as like an actual monster, like the worry monster, the doubt monster, the fear monster, the judgment monster. And for everyone, they all have different sizes, different abilities. They come from different places, so there's different like routes in which you take to defeat them, or at least like subdue them to where they do not affect your life. So, and then in healing, yeah, I've been doing ancestral stuff. That's part of why I bring breath in, is because of how that helps me see kind of past like what is on the surface.
So your ancestral, how that rolls into, I really love how you said the worry monster, the fear monster,
Yeah.
being able to personify those feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you are able to walk people through this process via breath work, correct?
Via breath work and intention setting, and even just through coaching in general.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us more about breath work? Like what
You
it
want to
is?
go breath work first? Yeah, for sure. So, um, I started doing breath work, and just fell in love basically, and ended up going to school through Awakened Breath. It's a 4 month program. And there are different modalities of breath work. And the thing to understand is, one, breath work is not new. A lot of people are like, oh, it's like the new yoga. Like, no, it's been around since the dawn of time. It is prana, which is the life force energy. And your breath is the catalyst for that. So being able to wield it as a tool is something that everyone should know. Like, like in gym class in school, I feel like it should be teaching breath work. Like, to be honest with you, I think it should be, that's how like widespread it should be. I think we'd see a lot healthier society, but there's so many different dynamics to it. So there's going to be the what's most popular, most widely known, and that is the calming techniques, the relaxing techniques. That's going to be your box breath, which is like standard therapist. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, and make, you know what I mean? Get yourself into a rhythm. Which, sidebar from that a little bit, it also helps you deepen your meditation practice, because if you get to the point where you are unconsciously doing the box breath, and not even just the box breath, any of the other ones, which there are plenty, you can actually deepen your meditation practice as well. So taking that to like the spiritual side. But what happens with relaxing techniques is you actually get taken from your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight, flight, fawn, or freeze, and you get put into your parasympathetic, which is your homeostasis, which is, especially when you're new to breath work, it's very possible that you will get sensations like tingles going down your body, because that is your brain being like, holy crap, we're not in our sympathetic nervous system for the first time in X amount of months, X amount of years, X amount of time. So you start with the relaxing techniques. Do you have any questions with those before I move on?
This brought me back to the last healing temple we did, and you took us through a breath work. I don't remember which one it was, because you do that to get us all on the same page and
Yeah.
this vibration. And I'm telling you, I was so out of my head. I was dizzy. I was like, am I going to be able to perform? And then of course, yes, because it connects you further in. But it just reminded me of that. But was that from that lifted state, or was that because
I think for you, if I remember, it was from Breath of Fire, which is the next type of technique that I was going to go into, which I said box breath for relaxing, but there's 10 I could come up with like right off the top of the head. It's just about exploring.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just the most well known. But for the activating techniques, that's what we call the other style. So that's going to be more of like energy output instead of input, in my mind anyway. And it's also going to activate something within you, because there's the heart opening technique, which is a relaxing technique breathwork wise, but because of the visualization, it becomes activating, because it's activating your heart chakra.
Okay.
So there's also some like, little things like that, some bridge breath, if you will. But Breath of Fire, or igniter breath, or tumo breath, there's so many of these more activating techniques. Breath of Fire is a great one if you don't want to drink a cup of coffee and you're like, you know what, I'm out of coffee, or it's 5 o'clock at night and I don't drink coffee past 3 o'clock, you know what I mean? But I need a little boost. Breath of Fire is a great way to enhance that with yourself, and to activate, because it puts you into your sympathetic. But in doing that, it actually will wake you up because of the force that you're using. So if you take anything away from this, make sure that you do a relaxing technique after you do an activating technique, so that you come back to parasympathetic nervous system. Because if you were to do Breath of Fire and go about your day, it's very possible that you could be irritable. You could be upset in some form or fashion, or easily triggered. It's great to do before exercise. But it also helps kind of open you up and move. It's breath of fire. Fire, what does fire do? It cleanses.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that those activating techniques are a gorgeous way to like use your body as power,
Mm.
as a power source. Um, and I was gonna say something. I was gonna remember a certain technique, and I can't
I have
remember
a
right now.
question though. So when you're
What's
using
that?
activating breath work, do you do the
Hmm.
activating coming to your sympathetic nervous system and then immediately after do the calming, bringing you back to the parasympathetic, or should you do
I
the activating, do your workout, and then?
I personally would do the activating, go into do my workout, and then end on the relaxing technique. Because I mean, if you're in your sympathetic going into a workout, like that's a great place to continue working out that energy.
Mm-hmm.
So really all it does in that context is open you up to remove more stuck energy. Because that's essentially the next kind of phase that I was going to talk to you about with breath work. There's two more. um, I was going to mention that tumo breath that I said earlier. Tibetan monks will use that when it's like sub-zero temperatures and be in their normal clothes and just do that breath to remain warm. I actually did that in -7 this past winter, and I have thin blood because I live in the desert, and I was fine.
How does the breath of fire go? That's the one where you push through your lips.
Except for faster. That would be slow.
Okay. So you're
Yeah.
really hyperventilating yourself through this process.
I mean, you can, it's just up to you because everybody's different. Like I am a breathwork facilitator. I'm obsessed with breathwork. I do it every day. So I'm very aggressive and very intense and like also my lung capacity is,
Probably
you
huge.
know, comparatively
Yeah.
not to other breathwork people that do it, but like, I mean, I was a smoker for 20 years. So definitely improved from that.
But probably compared to somebody who doesn't do breath work every day.
Yeah, I probably have a little extra just because of practice.
Well, we were doing the breath work together and you're so intense with it, but it was like my lips were like, it was
Yeah. I don't know.
you're really good at it. You're really great. And then how do you do the to my breath?
So it's actually pretty similar to Breath of Fire. But there's visualization, kind of like the heart opening technique that we did, where you imagine the belly actually having a fire within it.
Mm.
And so like as you breathe in, you watch the fire grow, and as it breathes out, it just kind of like it's an ebb and flow, but a flame within yourself. And so, but it's like it's important to really focus on the flame and to have those big powerful breaths. It's not quite as rapid as breath of fire.
I really like the to my breath from what I can hear,
Hmm.
because without seeing the whole thing and actually performing it myself, it reminds me of something that I bring people through when I teach Reiki. There's
Mm.
the violet flame, uh,
Hmm.
and
Saint Germain.
not when it's actually Tibetan, and so it's
Mm.
where we're bringing up essentially how I kind of relate it to is the Kundalini energy. Uh,
Mm.
because when you're activating your healing, and it's something I usually just do for Reiki masters, people who are reaching that level, we activate inside of ourselves this flame that moves up our body with the Reiki symbols, which are activating, cleansing, all of those things before we go into a Reiki treatment to work on other people. And I love how breath work is so encompassing because it's something you can do on a very physical level, like you said, to stay warm, to energize you, to do workouts. And then on the other side, in and of itself, it's cleansing you, helping you transform, strengthening your channel, getting you out of your mind, your logical
Mhm.
mind so that you can meditate and do journey work. And uh,
Mhm.
that's, we even have shamanic breathing where we do a
Mhm.
similar exercise to the 444, but it's the 777. We call it the little death exercise, and that's supposed to help us be able to journey more easily. So there's so many correlations, like it just
Oh
fits
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, well, and then the breath work I do every single morning when I wake up, sometimes first thing, sometimes a little later, is dynamic breath work, which will literally take your crusty, dusty cells and turn, well, because I mean, there's so much, our air, especially living in like cities, is not the best. Um, we put so much processed food in our bodies in this country, and also, we have not learned how to breathe. We have forgotten how to breathe. It is scientifically proven that our jaws have actually shifted and evolved because of how shallow the breathing has come, because we've gotten away from a raw diet and we cook everything, everything's soft. So we actually breathe more shallow because of that's why things like sleep apnea and stuff exist now. So but what dynamic does is it will actually, you'll feel it in your body. I feel it every morning. I do it and I do this daily. But you will feel the prana going through and it's reactivating your cells to take them from the little raisins, which is what they look like when they're an unhealthy cell. And then I say it takes them from a raisin to a strawberry. It's
Cool.
really beautiful and red and like healthy. So it's like I mean, it's not going to guarantee you won't get sick, but it definitely it boosts your immune system. It will help your sleep. It, overall will improve your mood. Like it has been the best thing that I have brought into my life and like it's not going anywhere, period. Um,
How do you
but
do?
then how do you do dynamic? So it's in and out through the mouth, except for whenever you don't blow out. So it's you barely
Mm,
you just like let it fall out, your
mhm.
and you're gonna do that 30 to 40 times. And so what's happening there is that you're calling all this oxygen into your bloodstream, and then you're with you just going that you're reoxygenating your blood.
Mm.
So I mean, it's alkaline. It's literally alkalizes your blood doing this breath work. And then after you do 30 or 40 breaths, you will do a big breath, and then you will push all of the air out and do an out hold, which those are difficult for me. I struggle sometimes. And then you'll go immediately in through the nose for an in hold, and then you can release, and that is the basis of dynamic.
Thank you for sharing that. I'll have to take notes and try that. Can when we're letting it fall out, can we also sigh it out, or is that something different? Does that have a different effect?
Um, I wouldn't sigh it out. Sighing it out is more for relaxing techniques because sighing is the ah sound is the sound of your heart. So
Mm,
it's more like a relief,
mm,
and you're not really, it's not a relief kind of breath work. It's more,
dynamic, right?
yeah, it's healing. It's a good way to maintain health, honestly. Like a
Right.
good, like again, it's not going to prevent you from having like a cold, but it will definitely, I mean, I haven't had a full blown sickness since I've started.
Wow. Well, I recently, like this year, came into learning the uh when I'm releasing my breath during breath
Mhm.
work, and I actually really like it. I think it's super cute.
So yeah. So and then the last aspect of breath work that I wanted is that you can actually, it's somatic. You can release trauma. You can do you can get into a pseudo psychedelic state, um, where you are able to release stuff that's stuck in your body. And so it's a beautiful way for you to become your own healer. Like I was in the woods last week and I felt really called to do some breath work, do like a ceremony to just myself. And so I did in the woods, and it was exactly what I needed. So,
Beautiful. So
yeah.
there are 4 phases that you covered of breath work, right?
Yeah. So there's relaxing, there's activating, there's dynamic or different types of like health, like benefits, I guess you could say. And then there's trauma releasing and or like blockage releasing breath work. So,
Which is somatic.
mhm,
Awesome.
correct.
I love that. So my favorite right now, from what I can tell, and of course in the past I've had some favorites with like fire stuff and sticking your tongue out and yelling. I really like to do those sorts of things.
Yeah.
But lately, my favorite has been the more calming.
Mm,
And I think this is where Isis comes into the picture,
mm.
because everything in the collective right now, in all of the messages and readings I've done, have come out where collectively we're looking at shadow work, we're looking at the dream realm, we're looking at the inner feminine work. Like there's so much of the yin that's coming in right now.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
interesting because I pulled, from the Isis deck and sent you that card, and where my mind was going with it immediately was, well, Isis is the queen. Isis plays the roles of mother, magician, healer, and what does that look like? And Kai took a look at that card and said, oh, rest and relaxation. That's the feminine. And I love that, because I think that's exactly how that fits
Mm.
into this particular topic and discussion and what you're doing with certain types of breath work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the thing is that it's the easiest way you can go from being like hopping mad, you know, or you know, I don't know. I believe in feeling through feelings, but if you're at a point where you feel like you're worked up, especially if you're someone who struggles with anxiety, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous way, and it's so simple to be able to get yourself out of that chaos that you put yourself in, you know? It's giving 8 of swords, your own mental prison, right? Um, and so to get out of that, being able to take I've been able to get people back to homeostasis in 3 to 5 breaths, as long as they do it with the correct form. So, that's where it is similar to yoga, is that you have to have a specific, uh, body posture in order for it to be the most effective.
Do you know off the top of your head what the Two of Swords is?
Choices or not
Because
go ahead.
my brain does math inexplicably, because
Sure.
whatever. So you said just now that where we might normally be is like 8 of Swords, mental prison. But you
Mhm.
said the rest relaxation piece, that Isis piece, or that release piece, is like the 4 of Swords. So I was
That
curious,
is 4 of swords, yeah.
like if we're cutting that 8 in half and we're getting 4, and if we cut that 4 in half, we get the 2. So the
Right?
2 of Sword is about, you said choices.
Yeah, it's choices or like, it's the crosses. The specific one that in my deck that I use a lot is blindfolded. So it's like maybe not knowing which way to go, being in like the liminal space, the crossroads. That's what Two of Swords is when I
So
read.
I love all of this, honestly, because it correlates so well, because it feels like breath work can be so all encompassing with this,
Mm,
even to the other things where I was talking about with Isis, because I said that she's mother, magician, healer. You've already
mhm,
talked about how dynamic breathing can be healing. You've talked
mhm.
about how, what's the second one? Not the calming one.
Activating.
The activating breath can
Mhm,
be transformative and
mhm,
cleansing. So that's your magician right there.
mhm.
So it's almost like, I feel like maybe the 2 of Swords, when we're in that space and we're not sure which way to go, maybe we can use some of that somatic, where we're reaching those psychedelic spaces, can help us
Mhm.
make decisions or decide where to go.
Yeah, well, if you're going off of the math that you're doing that I think I'm following,
Yeah.
the anxiousness, you cut it in half to 4, so you go from mental prison to 4, you cut that in half, you're at the 2, which is the crossroads, cut that in half, that's where the mental clarity, that's where the breakthroughs happen, because that's literally what that card means,
Mm.
is the Ace of Swords, is breakthrough, mental clarity.
Ah! We do math so well together.
And what do swords represent? Air.
Okay, that I had it written down. I want to talk about the air element. The air element.
Oh,
Those doggies are excited. They said, "Man, you guys are getting worked up over
they're
there."
giving us all kinds of confirmation.
I love the air elements. It's to me, I usually see it as like a masculine element where it's very much thought and wisdom and those sorts of things. How do you view the air elemental?
Um, I mean, I feel when I was in where was I? I don't I was on a mountain.
Well, of
I don't
course,
know.
element of air.
Well, yeah, and it felt like the feeling was grandfather wind.
Mm.
And I remember grandfather wind coming through and saying just let me carry you. And so I think that air has a little bit of a masculine energy. I don't know. I just think there's balance in all of it because there's also like I don't know. I don't know if you've ever crossed paths with a Libra, but they're pretty feminine for me, and but they mean balance. But then the Aquarius is a water bearer, but is like you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know.
Libras are
I
my
don't.
nemesis
Your nemesis.
because I fall in love with them so easily because they're beautiful. And then they are like, I don't care anymore. And then they just go away.
They
And
flow with the
it's
wind.
exactly, it's heartbreaking.
Hmm. Yeah, I've had some struggles with Geminis in the past, so I get that, which is the other air sign that we
Yeah.
didn't mention.
We love all of you Libras and Geminis out there. We
Oh,
really,
100%. This has been a pattern in my life is struggling with Geminis in the past.
I think it's pretty well known, actually. So they shouldn't take any offense. They should be used to it by now.
I'm a Scorpio, if it makes anyone feel better. Like one of the top hated signs in the zodiac.
I really like Scorpios, actually. And I'm Leo, and I think everybody loves Leos too, which might be a very Leo thing to say.
That was a very Leo thing to say. Yeah,
But
that's what
don't
I was
you?
gonna say.
But don't
Well, I'm a
you?
Leo moon, so
Lots of feeling, bigness there. I, re-
dramatic.
I wasn't going to say
I'll
that.
call myself out. I have no problem.
Well, I'm curious now because we're really seeing that breath work is kind of this all-encompassing underlying thing weaving its way through all of the topics that we were psychically
Hmm.
picking up. We were going to talk about how do we feel breath work moves into this religious trauma in any capacity. I know that some of this was probably from childhood.
Oh, 100%. Um, so my dad was a pastor in the army, so a
Mm,
chaplain. So it was very like this is how it had to be.
mhm,
And it's interesting now because I realize that he was supposed to be the healer and he chose to just do what was safe.
mm,
Like he had that option. And he was in his way a healer as well, like not diminishing the support that he gave to those soldiers, but that support ended with the soldiers from my experience as well.
mhm,
Um, I mean, he clearly loved what he did, but he just never had any gas left in the tank for the family.
mhm,
So he would sit here and preach about how to be a good parent and how to do this, that, and the other. to be like Jesus and, you know, be godlike and stuff. And then would use my life as a uh, example of what not to do while I was in the crowd without my permission. So that was really awesome. Had to have
Oh,
some
he
weird
would talk about you
conversations.
in the sermons.
Mm,
Mm.
yes. So I don't know, it just brought a lot of resentment and the lack of respect, and the lack of options. And also, that's a lot of what I've been working through is that the doubt was because that's what my parents were fed. And that's why when I said I wanted to be a singer, I wanted to be a professional athlete, they were like, yeah, that's not like they didn't even entertain it. It wasn't like, yeah, work hard and maybe it was no, that's not happening. There's no way.
Hmm. So there
You
were
know?
very firm beliefs that kept everything immobile, so to speak.
Yeah. And I mean the thing is they were projecting their own shit onto me.
The doubt and the fear monsters, the anxiety monsters. Absolutely. I can see that 100% because that's what and I was even having a conversation with someone yesterday. And it was a good, productive conversation. And me and this person, we were both raised in the South. We both had very similar experiences as kids. And what I came to in that conversation was the realization that I actually believe most of Christianity, but from a completely different perspective. Like anything someone can bring to me about Christianity, I can say how it's probably correct, but not the way that they're being taught it.
Right. And this is not me shaming the religion. This is me shaming the interpretation of how we have bastardized those teachings in this country and used it as a platform for judgment.
Absolutely. That was a shot to the heart.
I
I was like, ah, ah.
I felt that. I felt the reverberation. That's not that said it. I was like, dude. That's when you know
Absolutely.
spirit's working.
Yes. Yes. The mirroring back and forth. Because, it's like at this point in my life, I feel like I can step into any church of any denomination, pick up certain things that are true to me, and then from my perception, see how other parts feel. I don't want to say watered down, but I do want to say regurgitated, maybe not fully understood on a deep level
Yeah.
about from the space of unity, from the space of oneness, from the space of source, from the space of flow. And it's probably more understood from a space of need for safety, need for protection, which keeps it all very small. And it has to be like this and only like this, and nothing from the outside is allowed in.
Right.
That's not safe. And I don't feel and what we've done with that as a society is we've broken away from it because we feel like because it's come to a very suppressed state where we have to say, well, then I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. But
Hmm.
then you get so many correlations because being spiritual is a religious experience because we create a practice.
I would say being religious is a spiritual experience. I would say it's the opposite.
And I believe that they could probably both be both
I think
within
here's
the balance of it.
yeah, and I think I have said this for much longer than I had business and like than I've had the business of saying because I've only really understood it now.
Yeah.
And that is I do not care what your belief system is at the end of the day as long as it makes you a better person
Mhm.
and it satisfies your spiritual need and tendency. Um like I don't care if you're Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, Christian, you believe in rocks. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I believe in rocks. So I love my crystals. I don't care what that looks like. What I care about is how you treat yourself and thereby other people. Because if you're treating yourself really well and you're treating yourself in a balanced way, you won't be harmful.
Mhm.
And for me, that's where the what I mean, because this is my experience, is how Christianity has turned, what is turned into in this country, and it's because of my experience. And I feel that it's turned from being an experience for a person to turning into, I'm a good person because I go to church on Sunday.
Yes.
And that's horseshit.
Hmm. And the reason I was moving towards what I said was because I had an experience with someone I'm actually very close to. And I was upset about a particular Bible verse that was being pushed to 4-year-olds that was talking about
Mm.
sin and original sin and shame and needing to be saved. And I didn't feel like that was appropriate for a 4-year-old.
Age appropriate.
Right.
Oh,
Especially since I see all of that from a different perspective. I believe very much in love, and that the separation of that is fear and guilt and shame and those things.
yeah.
Um, and I brought it up to someone I'm close to, and they said, but those things are Christianity. Those are the principles of Christianity, and you can't be a Christian unless you believe those things. And that's why I brought that up, because I believe in love, which is the fourth
Mhm.
dimensional frequency that Jesus is the architect and archetype for.
Yeah.
So I would consider myself Christian because of
Hmm.
the way I practice love, and I follow him and Mother Mary and the saints and the angels.
Right.
But according to this person's dogma, I can't be part of the religion. And that's where I feel that
It's the
somehow we've
box.
been squeezed out, and
Hmm.
we had to have redefine it as spirituality, when it's really the same thing if you can get past the rules and the dogma and
The patriarchy.
bring it down. Let's spin it. But at the same time, I think we're coming back to understanding that, like coming back to something that you said, that there's also something beautiful about observing those people, like how I could in that moment not be triggered by that, but observe that
Hmm.
person for having such a firm belief system, and how it's making them a better person and how they feel
Yeah.
content in it. And I was proud of them just for feeling that way for themselves and having their own
Yeah.
practice in that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not my job to tell anybody else how to live their life. It's just not. I am here to hold containers, bear witness, as you were saying. Um, but it's like, I mean, good on you, by the way, for not getting triggered, because I don't know if I would have not had an argument ready to go. Um, just just saying. Um, maybe not like a real blown argument, but like a, doesn't that seem odd to you? Like, just a question, you know what I mean? But that's just because I poke. That's kind of how I am. But yeah, I
We'll
think
take
that
up to a
I
breath.
yeah, but I think that I had this thought like a few months ago, and it was like, can you imagine a world where instead of traveling to other countries and like judging their religion, we went and respected it and like got interested in it, and like, because the thing is that wisdom comes in so many forms.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, it's the willingness to bathe in ignorance and staying closed. Like, and that's where it's like I was saying the box. I feel like, and that's why I was saying patriarchy, is because patriarchy is the masculine, that's structure. We've over structurized
Mm.
what Christianity could be,
Mm-hmm.
do you
Mm.
know?
Mm.
And so like,
Feel that.
yeah,
Yes.
like we've just over structurized it, and we've taken what could be a beautiful religious context. Because I mean, yeah, Jesus, or Yeshua, as I prefer to call him, Yeshua, um, was a master of self. He
Mm-hmm.
was a master of healing. He was a master of love and compassion, and he, he did a lot of miracles and wonderful things that should be celebrated because it shows us what we're capable of. Like, that's why he came, is to say, this is what we're capable of. I'm showing the way. Not because we're less than him, but because we are just like him. What?
I connected the dots. Ka-ching! It went in.
Yeah.
So what I in my brain was trying to connect was how that one subject connected to that core coming up of breath work that seemed to encompass everything else because it felt so disconnected.
Mm.
But then your last few statements, I was receiving a message that I think is for everybody, but it was directed at you. And it's, as the breathwork facilitator, all of those things and those monsters brought you into your gift of breathwork because that's very
100%.
specific for you. Because, you can be a healer in many different ways, but you chose air. You chose being filled. You chose that wisdom and that flow. You chose that as your inherent gift. And that gift is how you know that you are the healer, that you are the master of self, and how you breathe that into everybody else around you who comes to you for health and healing and the release of their monsters. And that just felt like a really big, powerful, beautiful, loving message.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. That was awesome.
Well, darn it, you're welcome. And we're all capable of really big things when we follow our passion. Because I noticed your energy shift. We kind of started talking and you were good, you were there. But as soon as you realized we were going into breath work, you geared up like something.
Oh, yeah. I was ready. Well, I know my stuff. I know my stuff too when it comes to breath work.
Well, is there anything else you feel that we should know? We talked about a whole lot of things in a short amount of time. Anything you want, anything that you have going on that you want people to know about or they can get you?
Yeah, inner balance.
An inner balance workshop. Is that ongoing or is it, or there's still
there's still openings. And also I will probably end up having wait lists and stuff too, because I plan on teaching it multiple times. So at any given time, if someone's feeling motivated, and it really, it's the balance of, it's a lot less pinpointed and a lot more broad. But also it's a great class to bring awareness to the things that we have to find balance in. And it's not a point, it's a platform. Inner balances, it's being able to go into one side or the other. It's basically conscious awareness, and by being able to be aware of the things that we need to be able to balance or to accept within ourselves, it's radical self-acceptance as well. Then we will have that reflected.
Beautiful.
Like that inner balance will come as outer balance in life.
Yes, because everything as within, so without. It just like the first step is within.
Correct.
So Kai has the inner balance workshop. You guys sign up for that. Also, we have our next healing temple, which is alive with Kai. And that's on August 29th at 3 p.m. Eastern time. But thank you so much for being with us today, Kai. It's always an amazing time full of fun, but also, wisdom and whatnot.
Yeah, some nuggets.
Love nuggets.
Love nuggets.
Love nuggets. We're going to roll with it. We'll keep it. We're going to roll with love nuggets. Thanks so much for coming, Kai. And it was great seeing all of you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.